So I've got some time left here, and I haven't covered one of our assets. Arguably one of kind of the most utilitarian useful, because one of the things I like doing very much is creating games and mechanics and stuff like this. One of the things I don't like doing is creating my UIs. And so we're going to talk about Doozy UI, which is going to simplify this process quite a lot and add a lot of powerful flexibility. So check this out. So I'm going to go to this new scene here called Title Start. And all that's in here is this giant sprite splash screen. So there it is, splash screen. Okay. Or start splash, I guess is what I named that. I don't know. That's kind of a weird name. And so that's just sort of our background there. And I'm going to create a UI here. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to start setting up some UI stuff. So I'm going to right click in my hierarchy. I'm going to go to Doozy UI. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a UI manager. I don't have to do that. However, it handles sounds for me automatically. If I have notifications, it can do a whole notification system, which is pretty cool. And it just gives me an in-scene button to my control panel. I could come up to, is it Moorman? Sorry, I'm terrible at this. Tools, Doozy UI. And I could open the control panel here, but I just like having an object in my scene that I can go control panel. Now the control panel is pretty cool, and it seems really confusing and really a lot of stuff up front, but there's a lot of neat stuff in here. So I can say, like, you know, do I want this to work with an orientation manager? Do I want to have UI navigation, scene loading? Do I want to have support for Playmaker, Text Mesh Pro, and stuff like that, and all these other things? Doozy UI, I believe, requires DoTween because it uses that for its animations and stuff, so that works out rather well. And so I'm going to start defining some stuff I'm going to use in my UI. So I'm going to go to UI elements, and UI elements can be thought of as like panels, like your options screen, your title screen, your whatever, right? A pause menu, stuff like that. And so I'm going to go ahead. I've got one that I just have sort of as a sample here. I'm going to create a new one. So this is going to be, I'm just going to call this new game because it's super descriptive. So I've created a new category called new game, and I'm going to add a few different elements. So I'm going to have a title screen, and I'm going to have an options screen. Now, these don't really have any functionality assigned to them. They're mostly for organization, and you'll see that they'll actually make it really easy to do some other cool stuff. So I have two UI elements under this new category called title and options. Now, under buttons, I'm going to create a new category of buttons, which I'm just going to call new game again. Doesn't have to be the same name, but that's what I'm going to call it. And then under new game here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create some new button categories. So I'm going to create a play button, and I want a button to go to my options screen. I want a back button, and I want an application quit button to quit my application. So there we go. So I've got these new categories, and I've created this category with these new buttons here. Now I could come in and create new categories of sounds. I could create different types of canvases. I could do all sorts of animation presets for in animations, out animations, loops, punches. Like, I can do so much customization here. It's insane. All right. But for now, I feel pretty good with that. So I'm going to leave that as it is right now. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by creating a new element here. So I'm going to right click in my hierarchy. I'm going to go to Doozy UI, and I'm going to create a UI element. And so here it is. It's just going to be called UI element. Pretty generic there. It also has these cool like little logos, so I know what things are, and you know, it just has a lot of organization stuff. I could turn that on or off or change it in my control panel. And so I want this to, we'll say animated start. This is going to be my title here. And for my element category, I'm going to say new game. And for my element name, this is going to be my title window there. And so I don't really want this to be named UI element. So I'm just going to click rename game object to element name. And there we go. UIE title. And I'll just double click here. It's going to create this giant window. I don't need a giant window. So this is going to be just sort of a panel of buttons, which will be right there in the center. So if I'm looking at my game, that's pretty narrow there. Let's widen that up a bit. There we go. Something like, I don't know, that will go real wide with it. Cool. Okay. So this is going to be my title panel. And I'm going to give it some animations and stuff. So in animations, how do I want this to animate when it's coming in? So I'll go to my in animations, and I can make it make a sound when it appears, but I'm not going to do that for these. For my animation, so I could create animations right here, move animation, rotate, scale, fade, but I'm going to go to my presets, and I'm going to look for fade as a category, and then I'm going to go in slow. All right, and then I'll hit load preset. And so that makes it fade in slowly. And then I'm going to go to my out animation, animation presets, fade, and I want it to fade out fast, and I'll load that preset. So there we go. So I have in animations and out animations. I don't want any looping animations. And that's all pretty straightforward. And so now I'm going to go ahead, I'll just duplicate this. I'll create a second one. This new one, I'm going to call options, and I'll rename my game object, so that's now named options. And this one I don't want to be blue. This one I'll make it say like green. All right, and so I have sort of a problem here in that they're sort of on top of each other right now, which isn't really good. It makes it a little bit harder to work on. Also, I don't really want options to be visible at the very beginning, so I am going to check hide at start for my options. So at the beginning it's going to disappear, and so that I can sort of work on these, without needing things to really overlap. Here's something I can do. I'm going to go to my title, and I'm going to say, you know what, you have a custom start position. So your start position is going to be 0, 0, 0. That's where I want this to start. And so I can move it out of the way now. I don't have to worry about it, because when it starts, it's going to move back to that spot that I told it I wanted to have. So I can put it wherever I want now, move it out of the way. For my options, I'm going to do the same. Custom start position, and I'm going to move it out of the way. And so now when I hit play, we're going to see that my windows pop on over here, just like that. All right. And so now I need some way of controlling what I'm seeing. Okay. So I've got my options screen here, which I need to turn off animate on start because it shouldn't pop over like that. That was my problem, but I need that to hide at start. And again, it's going to have a custom position. So now I'm going to go ahead and start working on some buttons. So I've got these here, and I'm going to add some buttons. So I'm going to come to my title here. I'm going to right click, go to Doozy UI, and I'm going to add a UI button. All right, and I'm going to do a few of these. So here's my UI button. Have the right tool selected helps. And I'll just move this kind of here. And this is going to be my new game category, play button. I'll hit rename. For my label, I will label it play. And I will change my font to, I don't know, Bison. Sounds pretty cool. Bison it is. And for my background, I'll just make it like white. There we go. I am not a UI designer. Blue on white or white on blue sounds great to me, whatever. And so now I can set up different animations and events and effects and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to create an on pointer enter, and on pointer enter, let's add a sound. So how about mouth pop? Yeah, all right, mouth pop, whatever. And then, so that's going to be whatever happens when I move my mouse over it. And so for my punch, so my pushes, let's see what I wanted to do. Category, so the default category happens to be jump, simple left. Great, I'll hit load preset. So that's that preset. When I click it, so on pointer down, let's pick a sound, punch 2. Like that. All right. And then, so my preset there, I'm going to do a fade. So I'll do scale, and I will do click in normal. There we go. So that's cool. And then I'm going to have, for on click, I'm not going to do anything special. I'll just leave that sort of as is for now. And so let's see what that does. I'll hit play. I've got my window. I mouse over it, and then I click it. There we go. You'll notice it's not moving in when I click on it because it's not currently set to do anything there. So we'll play around with that. Oh, also, actually, so note the real reason is that I didn't hit load preset, which actually loads in that animation. The on click is the one that I'll need to actually do other stuff with that here shortly. So we go. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So I've got that button. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. So I want a couple more buttons and then one more button. So my next button, I'll just move down here. That's going to be my options button. I'm going to have a button to exit the game like so. And then I'm going to have a button that I'm going to move over to my UI panel. All right. And so for that one, I'll just move it on over. So, hey, button, come on down here. There we go. And this is going to be my back button. All right. So these are all just so that I can set them all up with the same animations and stuff. I could also go to my UI manager control panel, and I could set up under editor settings my default buttons so that they would all have the same animations and same text and same whatever behavior and stuff like that, which is really cool. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, so for this next UI button, I'll change the label. This one's going to be options. There we go. And then for this UI button, it's going to be exit, like so. And then this one is just going to say back. There we go. And let's fix their names. So this UI button here is going to be under my new button category. This is going to be my options button, and I'll rename the game object. This one is going to be my exit app or application quit button, and I'll rename that object. And then this one here is going to be my back button, and I'll rename that. So check this out. This is pretty cool. So this button is named application quit. Okay, that's its name, application quit. And I'm going to click to enable my on-click event. Now I'm not going to do anything. There's no events, no anything, no animations. This doesn't do anything. It's just enabled. That's it. And because it's named application quit, check this out. So I'll hit play and I will hit exit. And it exits play mode. Not only that, but if this was a build on device or whatever, it would exit the game. So it's already rigged up to do all of that really cool stuff. So anyway, that's pretty neat where my exit button is just named application quit. Because it's named application quit and I give it an on click, I turn on click on, it just works. So for my options button, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm again going to give it an on click. And I'm going to go to navigation. And remember when I talked about the UI elements are cool for sort of defining how things behave? Check this out. So I'm going to say, all right, when I click this button, I want to show any element that is of the category new game that is named options. And I want to hide any element that is of new game of type title. And I'm going to add this to my navigation history. So the fact that I'm clicking this button is getting added to the history of my navigation. All right. And so now when I click play, I'm going to click this options button and it's going to fade in my options screen. And now on my options screen, I have this back button. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on click. I'm going to enable on click. I'm going to go down to navigation, but I can't add any navigation. Well, why not? It says this is a back button. It knows what it is. It's named back. Okay, let's try it out. So didn't have to do anything there. Options, back. There we go. It remembers where I was, remembers how to get back to it, which is pretty cool. All right. Now, the last thing I want to do with this here, so I've got my options, I've got my exit. Options don't really do anything, but there are a lot of built-in buttons for automatically toggling audio and effects and whatnot. There's actually tons of built-in ones, like back in application quit were two of the built-in ones I used. I believe if you just toggle one called toggle music or whatever, it automatically handles that. So some really cool built-in stuff to really streamline a lot of this stuff here. And so the last one is play. And here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to, in my hierarchy, I'm going to go to Doozy UI, and I'm going to add a new manager called my scene loader. And my scene loader is going to handle loading scenes and all that stuff for me. So there's a lot of different ways I can load scenes. I can unload scenes, load level async, or additive async, load level async, whatever. So I'm going to go to load level async by name, and I'm just going to copy this string. All right, because it's just telling me what the name of these strings are. And now I'm going to go to my play button, and I'm going to go to on click. I'll enable that. And under events, well, events are built-in Unity events. I'm going to go to game events. I'm going to add a new one. I'm going to paste in load scene async underscore name underscore. And the name of my scene is game underscore start. So I'll just type game underscore start. There we go. And I'll save this. And I'll hit play. And here we go. So I'll hit play and it's going to load my scene. And here we go. And I'm playing my game. So really cool stuff there. And I slow down when I stomp a chomper and all sorts of stuff. Can I double it? Yeah. All right. See, good stuff. And now I'm just going to jump in the water. Okay. So some pretty cool stuff there. And again, UI is one of those things that oftentimes feels like you just have to tack it onto a game, and you don't really want to work on it. And the Doozy UI makes that portion just so much simpler because, yeah, there was maybe a little bit of setup creating these categories and stuff like that. But once that's done, I can create styles and themes and reuse them so I can get some, just sort of repetition with how these things look and work. And I don't have to reset up all my buttons a certain way or whatever. I can just categorize them and then they just are that way, which is really cool. So that makes that process just really cool, just very simple to work with, especially, if you're like me, where you're just not in love with the concept of having to create all these UIs and stuff like that.